upper structures are a great way of varying the chord type, and I'll explain a little bit what I mean by that. I'm going to concern myself mostly with the dominant 7th chord, and I'm going to use C7 in my left hand. I'm going to play the root, the 3rd and the 7th. I'm just going to leave out the 5th because it's not actually that important. What is important is that we definitely have the 3rd and we definitely have the 7th and the root. Without those, the upper structures that I'm going to demonstrate are less effective. So a practical application for upper structures is, for example, in a jazz standard piece where you have a lot of dominant 7th chords and you want to vary the tension in those chords. It can make a really colourful harmonisation of a tune. So usually when we get to the end of a tune, we'll put in, say, C7 and we'll resolve to F major. And we can put in lots of things, for example, a flat 9. So in these examples, I'll be putting in various dissonances like flat 9s, but it'll be really easy to understand because it's a systematic way of working out these variations. So that chord I played there is known as C7. We don't bother saying 9. We don't bother saying we don't bother saying 9. We say sharp 11 and we say the 13th. So that chord would be C7 sharp 11 13. You might just see C7 sharp 11 and it would be up to the performer to put in the 13th if they wanted. You can also see it as a D over a C. That's called upper structure 2. So why is it called upper structure 2? That's because if you think of the scale of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 obviously is just 1 again. Those are numbers that we call our primary triads. So for example, what happens if I go to F sharp? That would be either sharp 4 or flat 5. And in this instance, we're going to call it flat 5. If we wanted to play this note, it would be flat 3, flat 2. I'm just going to concern myself with not every single possible upper structure, but some of the most useful upper structures. So upper structure 2, we just said there. The next one is upper structure flat 5. So here's 5, flat 5 is F sharp, and I'm going to play a chord of F sharp major over C7. That's actually a dominant 7th with a flat 9 and a sharp 11. That's the sharp 11 and that's the flat 9. Sharp 11 is F sharp and the flat 9 is a D flat. The next example is exactly the same chord, so it's still upper structure flat 5, but now it's minor. And that's a dominant 7th, 13th, flat 9 and a sharp 11. So this is the sharp 11 again, here's the flat 9, and here's our 13th. The next one is a chord, it's called upper structure flat 6. So 6 is A, flat 6 is A flat. So here is the chord of A flat over C7. And that chord type is dominant 7th, sharp 9, flat 13, also known as the altered chord, which I explain in my snippets. That's jazz snippets. You can check that out via my website or from my Tippy site. So this is a chord that has the sharp 9, it has the flat 13, and that makes it an altered chord or a dominant 7th, sharp 9, flat 13. Obviously the altered is a much simpler way of describing the chord, as to call a chord dominant 7th, sharp 9, flat 13 is a bit wordy. The final one I'm going to deal with is upper structure 6, and that's a chord of A. And that fits dominant 7th, 13, flat 9. So we have the 13th, the flat 9, that's obviously just the 3rd again. These chords are most effectively learnt as part of a sequence or in a tune. And I give some examples of considering the possibilities below. And I'm also suggesting to practice them in as many keys as possible. Also invent your own sequence and apply an upper structure voicing to it. But before I come on to that section, I'd just like to play each of those again, and I'd like to resolve them. So if you think of every chord of C7, it's a dominant 7th type. So I'm going to resolve the first one to F major, but many of the others will be going to F minor. So here's the first one, upper structure 2. And for me, upper structure 2 is the least convincing dominant 7th. It doesn't feel like it's pulling like the rest of them do. And I'll go into detail on that in another lesson. Upper structure flat 5. Let's do that in inversion. I just played the chord of F sharp. Instead of playing it there, I played it there, which is in second inversion. And it was slightly better voice leading, I think, and nearer the left hand. Okay, I'm going to do upper structure flat 5 minor, which sounds very, very complicated. Here we go. I'll do that again. That resolves to F minor. Upper structure flat 6, which is the triad of A flat. I'm going to play that in a first inversion. Here we go. And that's the one that I said you could also call altered. Some nice voice leading there. And the final one is upper structure 6, which is the triad of A. I'm going to play that again in a first inversion and resolve to F minor. It's a little bit similar to upper structure flat 6. I'll just compare those. This is the flat 6, or the A flat. And here is now upper structure 6. In the next lesson on upper structures, I'm going to play some of the examples from my book and talk about the uses of those various upper structures.